Sounds like the definition of a holocaust.
An event which the state ruled never really happened.
An event in which millions died.
Which never really happened. But tell me though, if it had happened, would having one of these have prevented their deaths?
Only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Are you Robert Coogan?
Yeah.
I'm David Breen. I'm your court-appointed lawyer.
No problem here. It's a clear shot. We'll be out of here in no time.
I'm just going to ask you a few questions and get started. So, have you spoken to anyone else since you've been here at the station?
No, not since I got here.
You know what you did?
Yeah, shot a thief.
Did they read you your rights?
Yeah, I heard him before though. Blah, blah,
You've been
blah.
arrested before?
A few.
Okay, yeah, I see. Public intox, shoplifting, nothing major. Let's talk about today. You have a concealed carry permit?
Yeah.
You had it on you?
Yeah, they took it when they dropped me off here though.
Where did you get it?
Florida.
Florida? What? When were you in Florida?
Never have been. I applied for it online. All you had to do was fill out some paperwork, sign some sheets, and, well, easy as that.
You got the required training?
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
I've been carrying since I was 5. I know my way around.
You took the classes?
No. I have a buddy who owns a gun shop. He signed off on him. He knew I was good.
Is the gun licensed?
I don't know. I got it at a trade show a few years back.
All right, let's talk about this morning. Where were you at approximately 9:40 a.m.?
Looking for breakfast.
You were on Decker Avenue?
Yeah. I was headed to Archie's place, but they don't sell beer before noon, so I started headed to Cassie's.
So you were headed south on the 800 block then?
I guess so. Yeah, south.
Then what happened?
Well, I was going past Goodman's place. The old couple runs it. Then I heard a gunshot and scream.
You heard a gunshot and then a scream?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Well, I knew they'd been robbed twice in the past few months, and I figured it was the same guy. I knew the last time she got hit by some punk-ass bitch.
So what did you do?
Well, I'd heard it was the same guy. Figured he'd be doing it a third time, so I was going to make sure that he wasn't going to do it a fourth.
You were going to make sure?
Yeah. You know, guy with a gun.
Okay, so what about a guy with a gun?
You know, the only way to stop a badass with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Somebody told you to stop a criminal?
Yeah, the NRA. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Okay, well, let's just talk about this morning. You had your gun on you, a Glock. You had a holster for it?
Yeah, son made it for me in shop class.
So you pulled your gun.
Yep. I was gonna drop him. I was locked, loaded, and ready to go.
Then what happened?
Well, I was headed towards the Goodmans, and Everyone started running out like bats out of hell. Can't blame them. They weren't armed. There were four or five of them.
Were there 4 or 5?
There's a couple holding hands, a woman with a stroller, and then a girl. So 5 of them, I guess.
And they ran past you?
The girl did. The others went running the other way. She didn't look like she was even 16. She'd probably never even seen a gun before. Maybe her parents should have taught her.
Then you went into the store?
No, she bumped into me and I couldn't get in. Then he came out.
Who came up?
The raghead, the bad guy with the gun. I called at him and he turned in my direction. He was looking for cars to escape in, and he looked at me and I dropped him.
So he pointed his gun at you?
No, I didn't give him the chance. I put 3 bullets in him and dropped him, a 4th to make sure.
So then you went into the store?
No. I was going to, but then I heard sirens and the cars pulled up, cop cars. They were fast, impressive. I told him that I dropped the raghead.
You still had your gun in hand?
Yeah, I figured that's why they were so hyped up. They tackled me, threw me in the cop car, and then dropped me off here. I told them I was a good guy and that the raghead was down.
Okay. Justifiable shooting. You hear gunshot. Man comes running out, points a gun in your direction. Self-defense? Maybe?
Maybe.
You hear gunshot and screams. People are running out for safety. Yeah, man pointing a gun at you. Self-defense.
He was a bad guy with a gun. He was a raghead, a Muslim with a gun hurting our country.
No. The couple that went past you, John and Judy Agnew, they're wanted for a string of robberies across the Midwest. They were positively identified from the CCTV cameras in the store.
Yes! Another dead guy from their gang. Another win for the good guys.
The guy you shot, Police Detective Apone, working undercover on a stakeout.
The raghead.
Born and raised in Detroit. Served 12 years on the force. Decorated twice for bravery. Pronounced dead at the scene.
I don't understand. He was a bad guy with a gun.
The Agats had been canvassing the area. They were tipped off. The officer you shot was on a stakeout. Right now, according to the courts, you're the bad guy with the gun.
Guy. But I don't look like a bad guy.
In 2018, much of the United States infrastructure was crippled by a cyber attack from North Korea. Using a combination of DHS and FEMA protocols, the government took over. The attacks were stopped and order restored, but the protocols remained. A state of emergency was established.
I wonder who did it.
Who did what?
Turned us in.
Can't be that hard to think it out. Not many people knew.
And we kept close tabs on those who did. At least I did.
Jess?
I was very careful. Only specific contacts knew.
Including?
Not Carlton. Alejandro knew. Bardo knew.
He wasn't supposed to know.
He wouldn't say anything.
I warned you about breaking trust.
He talked about what it was like growing up with one. It was exciting. It was fun. We had one of his favorites. I just wanted him to know that they still existed.
Damn it! What does he have now? What do any of us have now? Just that. Pile of ashes.
He promised to stay quiet.
And what do you think the state promised him for selling us out? Movement? Access? Privileges? There are bounties on smugglers like us. You know that. State has made sure that's known.
He wouldn't sell us out to the state. I know he wouldn't.
If the state even suspects you're hiding something, they don't waste time taking you in. Without a warrant, search and seizure is pretty quick.
It's been weeks since I told him.
And he's been dead for weeks. They took him in a roundup. Officially, he died in interrogation. There are a few things the state is willing to share.
He was so sweet. Any ideas where we are?
After they tossed us into the van, they pulled out and turned left. We'd been going west on Decker. We hit 2 stops.
We weren't running hot. They didn't want the attention.
Which made us a big catch.
Part of me was hoping they'd brag.
I heard the 3rd Avenue L signal bells.
Followed by a steady, slow turn to the south onto the expressway headed south and west.
2 hours.
2.5.
We're in Springfield.
Or somewhere close.
We're a long way from home.
Not far enough.
We're going back. We'll be hot there.
Very, but there are some things I don't want to leave behind. Some stories I've heard about.
We have to get out of here fast.
We will.
Insurrection, sedition, treason. Do those words mean nothing to you? Do you understand just how serious they are? They do in fact best describe a cancer at the heart of the state. You remember cancer? Of course you do. It has only been 7 years since the state eliminated cancer in all of its forms. Citizens of the state now have access to a final solution that eliminates cancer. We survive, we prosper, we celebrate without cancer. Yet it appears the state itself has a cancer spread by insurrection, sedition, and treason. Like the cancer of the body, we must find a solution and eliminate it before it can spread. Are you a cancer? Of course you're not. So pretty. Too pretty to be a threat to the state. You must be a cancer. I can see it in your eyes. And you. Are you a cancer? Or do you just think you are? Was it all worth it? Sacrifice yourselves, betray the state for this?
Yes. You are wrong. Everything about you and the state are wrong.
The state has brought us peace like never before. There's never been this much prosperity in the history of our planet. No crime. There hasn't been a criminal act in this city in 2 years.
After 3 years of blood from your shock troops. Entire blocks burned. Homes confiscated. Privacy robbed. No warrants necessary. Suspicion justified everything.
Extreme measures had to be taken.
Extreme isn't accurate enough. Shadow transports. Enhanced interrogation. Cleansing was what the state called it. With waterboarding as the norm.
It prevented disobedience and extremist acts. They had to be dealt with to prevent any more attacks on our country.
Famous words from our history. You'd know what they'd led to if you'd read about them. Or at least were allowed to read.
The state will tell you what you need to read. This is what will happen to the things you don't need to read. Burned like trash and dispensed with the wind.
Sounds like the definition of a Holocaust.
An event which the state ruled never really happened.
An event in which millions died.
Which never really happened. But tell me though, if it had happened, would having one of these have prevented their deaths? I didn't think so. Would having one of these save you now? You have been prosecuted on the grounds of transporting illegal contraband for the purpose of spreading sedition and treason. You received them from an agent in Philadelphia 4 days ago, distributed 2 in Columbus, then made several transactions in Chicago, including one with an undercover agent working for the state. You were apprehended, tried, no defense necessary, and were brought here after establishing your guilt. You will either be reprimanded at labor resource centers or reconditioned if state appointees find it possible. Recondition will be conducted by state-approved officials and guidelines and can include a variety of techniques, including sensory stimulation and TCEs.
Electroshock therapy. Waterboarding just too old-fashioned for torture these days?
These are officially approved advanced interrogation techniques and are not considered torture.
It never is when the state wants to use it. It's interesting the words you choose. The way you change their meaning when it suits you. Or is it when you are afraid of them?
The state is not afraid.
Oh, yes it is. Doing whatever it can to get rid of the words it doesn't like. That will be its downfall.
The state only makes things simpler for people. The state decides what words are necessary, and the rest are unnecessary.
Another interesting choice of words. Unnecessary sounds so much more acceptable than banning. Less restrictive than forbidding. Less intense than burning.
You will agree that it is the duty of the state to protect civilians from terroristic attacks and influences. And it is the citizens' duty in return to report possible terroristic activities. Under state law, transporting contraband is treason.
Contraband. Something generic that can cover anything the state chooses. That in itself shows your fear. You are so afraid of it that you can't even use the right words.
The state is not afraid of illicit material, but must monitor its use.
Or deny it.
Or deny it.
Or deny it.
Would you allow cancer to spread freely?
Say the word.
A disease must not be allowed to spread.
Books. Books. We carried books. That is what they were, and changing the name doesn't change what they were.
And even the state, with absolute power, can't destroy them all.
All paper books will be turned to ashes. All e-books deleted. You see these? Your precious books. Ashes, gone forever. With one swoop, the state eliminated them and any influences they may have had. Harper Lee gone. Shakespeare gone. Dickens gone.
Choice gone.
Independence gone.
Free will gone, an illusion under the state.
On the contrary. There is more free will now than ever before, with so much less to worry about. No bills to pay. Very little crime, no hunger. Fewer concerns with less decisions to make.
Oh, like who to vote for?
In the last presidential election, only 42% of the population voted. The majority didn't bother. They wanted someone else to make the decisions.
Stricter voter registration and identification laws established by the state had nothing to do with it. Limited poll hours, locations with fingerprints and background checks. It was easier to buy a gun than it was to vote.
One less thing to worry about. People don't want to have to make that decision. They'd rather have a king than a president.
So the state gave them an emperor.
Why do you think so many families thrived in politics? The Bushes, the Kennedys, the Clinton.
Because at the time, the majority wanted them.
Well, the state serves the majority. And the majority must serve the state.
How can you say it's what the majority wants when you won't give them a choice?
They had their choice. And they chose the state.
No, we never gave absolute power to the state. The state took it and decided to keep it.
The majority wanted the state to take control. The majority wanted protection from North Korea.
Only in the crisis months. When people were hungry and afraid and without power, we needed a leader in that moment.
And you got what you asked for.
The people didn't want a dictatorship.
The facts have proven the state correct. 11 years of prosperity.
Tighter rules and less freedom.
Not in the opinion of the state.
What happens when the opinions contradict the facts?
The state has the ruling opinion.
No matter what the difference is.
The state also decides the facts.
What about the differences?
There are no differences. The state decides.
In whatever way benefits the state, that will be its failure.
I will not fail.
The difference between the very smart and the very dumb is that the very smart will change their opinions to fit the facts, while the very dumb will try to change the facts to fit their opinions. Which are you? Not the state. You.
There is one thing you failed to take into account. It can be so much easier to change the facts.
This is your brand of a final solution. This is...
You said I, not the state. You can't even tell the difference anymore. You don't know where the state ends and you begin. You didn't change the facts. You didn't change what she said. You may be able to burn the books, everyone you get, but you can't burn the words.
You must be dealt with. For the safety of the state.
When was the last time you did something that you wanted to do? When was the last time you did something without the state's approval? This is your choice.
You overestimate your influence. You are a minor threat to the state.
But we are a bigger threat to you.
I must serve the state.
But does the state serve you? Or does it only serve itself?
No, we never gave absolute power to the state. The state took it.
But we are a bigger threat to you.
In whatever way benefits the state, that will be its failure.
I will not fail. I will not fail. I will not fail. I will not fail.